have no idea what's going to be talked about in this video, or if it'll get posted. Typically, at least there's some sort of, as I'm sitting first thing in the morning on the porch, usually maybe some days will just be like a phrase or a word that'll kind of pop forth, and that tends to be what the video in some ways ends up being about. But I don't know today, but something's here. Maybe it's a paying homage to heartbreak and the role that it can play, the role that it has played for me. And I think for a long time, for years, I thought I knew what heartbreak was. But I've come to realize that there were so many resistance patterns in place, that there was always trying to keep the real depth of a heartbreak out. I was, constantly trying to hold the broken pieces of my heart together, trying to manage the experience, trying to control, instead of completely letting go into it. And there was a phrase in an interview that Angela did with somebody on his channel, and she said something that just stuck. I don't remember the name of the woman, but she said something that just really stuck with me, that everything just wants to be felt. Everything just wants to be felt. And so this opening, unbinding, dissolving process slowly, one thing at a time, requires everything that's arising to be completely felt, not managed, not kept at arm's length, not indulged by the identity, but just felt and sensed. Experienced. And heartbreak for me has been a powerful part of that. My relationship with Henry was how kind of my introduction to spirituality. There were ways that I was interested in things. I had found the Tao Te Ching and was just totally captivated by it. And then along came this person that had had a glimpse of something. It was not complete by any means, but it had a glimpse of something. And the fact that it was wrapped up in a love relationship and my conditioning at the time made me want that. This unconsciously, I was seeking it because I thought that if I found that thing, that if I became nobody, that I would be loved forever. And I laugh now. I can only laugh now, but at the time it was so unconscious. There was such a deep unconscious need to be loved and seen and validated, and it was so desperate. But there was something in me too that was genuine, but I needed that little hook. And I had that in a person, and I pedestalized that person. And, you know, slowly as things opened for me, it was this process of like slowly demolishing the image that I had built of him, slowly ripping down the pedestal that I had put him on, and realizing that he didn't have it all figured out, and realizing that he didn't have the answers that I was looking for. I was externalizing the search. He was like the embodiment of truth, like in form for me, you know, like a mascot. And I had to destroy that. Life sucked me in with a beautiful counterpart and then took it away. But in the process, like before it was taken away, there was a slow recognition that, like a turning around, and that I couldn't externalize the search, that what I was looking for, I had to look inward in my own experience. Because what I had been doing up to that point was looking to find his experience. And I think maybe that speaks to like what we maybe unconsciously do with any teachers, like anybody who takes on a teaching role in this realm in our lives, is that we project our idea of what awakeness is onto somebody. For me, that happened to be a partner. And then we have to like deconstruct the idol, the statue, you know, go at it with a chisel and a hammer. So it was this weird bait and switch by life. But it sucked me in with a partner and gave me somebody to talk to about all of this stuff for years, and then took it away. And forced me to find my own, like look only in my own experience. Because there was sincerity in my heart. Initially, that question was, what is love? Like, what is real love? Not like the fantasy of love. Like, what is real love? Like, that was kind of what drove me for a while. I think there was also a very deep underlying question of what is the truth? What's true? And I realized that I'd been seeking that really my whole adult life in some form, and I didn't quite realize it. It's always trying to find the truth. And then there was something when he showed up that just felt in my gut, like there's something here. And so I, like, in a way, made him my guru and followed him. He never asked for that, you know. That was something that I totally put on that person. So it was like this weird little image wrapped up of like love relationship, a committed partnership, a spiritual guru, like all wrapped up in this little package. And that's a lot to put on somebody. And it slowly started to crumble, you know. And then eventually I say I, like the choice had to be made of be myself or continue the relationship. But I think maybe this video, you know, like I said, it speaks to what probably I think many of us do in this process, is like pedestalizing you know, a person or a teacher as somebody who's got something figured out, and we start looking for our experience to match what they're saying, for our experience to reflect, or we're looking for their experience in our own lives. Instead of flip-flopping that around, looking in our own lives, in our own direct experience, and then finding it, and then suddenly what a teacher is saying makes perfect sense. Like, oh yes, I know that place. I know that because I found it here. So there's this weird little like flip-flop of like almost like giving power away to another being. And that has to be let go. Everything has to be let go. Like all reliance on anything outside. Like everything has to be taken in and checked out here. Everything. Like this is the only resource. It becomes the only resource, and that is what real aloneness is. It's not, aloneness isn't feeling lonely. It's relying on nothing. Nothing can be relied on. It's checking just this. Finding that presence, that silent presence here, instead of searching for it outside, in somebody else, looking to find it. And we do this totally unconsciously, or I did this totally unconsciously, like looking, you know, like the way that Henry spoke about it was very different than the way it naturally comes out here. So different. And so what I heard, there was like the essence of what he shared with me, which is the same. But the concepts, the words that he used had certain concepts that had been formulated over my life here. And so the way that I interpreted, like the way that my mind was trying to interpret those experiences and like what they should look like here, were so different than what they actually ended up being when I finally let go of looking to him, looking to somebody else, and just investigating here only. So it was like this weird slow process of life giving me something like a little carrot, dangling a carrot through another human being, and then slowly taking away that ability to look outward to discover the truth. So it's just releasing, like letting go into things, dying into an eventual heartbreak, but feeling that, you know, like I think that like going back to everything just wants to be felt really speaks to that. Because if we're looking to somebody else, to a teacher, to YouTube videos, to point us to something, we're missing. And not to say that those things aren't beneficial, because they are. It's not necessarily the words, it's not the words and the concepts, but like the sense of it. And like using something as a pointer to flip it around inside ourselves and find the felt sense. Everything just wants to be felt. And if we're intellectualizing, which I did this so hard, if we're constantly intellectualizing and the mind is trying to figure it out, we're missing what's actually being asked, which is to sense, to feel everything that's arising. fully without the coping mechanisms, without the coping strategies. And if we, like when I had touched into that like formless, absolute nature of reality enough times, the coping mechanisms just crumbled. And it was brutal. There's lots of videos on my channel about that time. The coping mechanisms crumble, and at least for me, that was necessary in order for there to be enough space to really feel everything that was arising. Everything just wants to be felt. Even the crumbling of the coping mechanisms, of the conditioning. Everything. Heartbreak, grief. You know, and there's this beautiful thing about that specific relationship ending for me. You know, just here in the last few days, Henry moved out of West Virginia, and that was like another layer of letting go and of aloneness settling in deeper. But there's just like a love there that is so much deeper than it ever was when we were together. I mean, the love was always there, but it's like that love is not going to go away. It doesn't go away. And there's such a tenderness to our relationship that there wasn't able to be before, because of the coping mechanisms, because of our own, you know, subtle projections of the other. And it took the relationship ending and that heartbreak for those to dissolve. Nothing outside of you can show the truth to you, can reveal what you are. It can help you sense the essence of it or point. But eventually all of those tools have to be put down. They're just tools. All those vehicles have to be put down, and you can only rely on this. You have to give it all up. Literally every bit of it. The whole world has to go. Your idea of awakening has to go. Enlightenment has to go. Spirituality has to go. All of it.